Good morning, everyone. We are going to present a PowerPoint on Smarter Balance. We're going to give you Smarter Balance Assessment Overview and kind of step you through some of the changes, what the test will be looking like. And if you've got third graders, they're in the midst of it right now. And we'll talk about some of the things to expect, or at least what I'll say, what we know at this moment, what to expect. There are many things we don't have exactly tied down with the bow. We'll wait for the state. All right.
And just as a little explanation for those of you that may not have third graders, the reason we started with third grade was because there is a piece of legislation that says that any child that ends up performing at a level 1 in third grade needs a parent conference and a talk about what are we going to do about all that. And in order to get that done, we needed to start them early so we could get those results back. So the rest of you will have kids that start a little closer to the end of the month. But our third graders are our valiant guinea pigs right now, and they are meeting the challenge, I can assure you.
So the Smarter Balanced Assessment system, it's really designed to give teachers and students more timely and ongoing information to make sure that the students are meeting the Common Core state standards in English, language arts, and mathematics. And the students who perform well on Smarter Balanced Assessments show that they're ready to leave high school, career, and college ready, and that's really the new goal. So it's not just meet grad requirements, a proficiency level. It's really about are our students going to be career, college ready?
Sure. The Formative Educator Resources is a great digital library with instructional and professional learning resources that include embedded formative assessments. And formative assessments are those assessments that teachers do in the moment. So here's what I taught. I want to see if the child learned it. I give an assessment that informs my instruction, and I see that most of my kids did and a few didn't, so I know I've got to work with this group as well as move this group beyond. But these formative assessments line up with what they're going to need to be able to do on the big assessment with Smarter Balance. So it's all in line and really helps teachers predict how kids are being prepared for the eventual measure of performance. Excuse me.
And it's a growing resource, so it's because it is a library, teachers are able to get into this library and get a variety of assessments throughout the year. The next piece that we have for the Smarter Balance Assessment are the interim assessments, and they're also used for additional feedback. So teachers can use the formative resources, and then they can do interim assessments that really provide checkpoints along the year. So we already do it with our IRRs in our elementary schools to check reading levels and proficiency and how students are doing, but this is going to give us another resource to be able to do some checkpoints along the way in English language arts and then also mathematics. And then the big, Smarter Balance Assessment is really that summative piece. Third graders right now are in the middle of it. As Kathleen said, at the end of April, we'll start with the rest of the grade levels and move them forward, and we'll be getting scores for those students. Supposedly within 3 weeks after the tests are taken and the information sent in. I say supposedly. All right. So the summative assessments, there's actually two parts. The first part is called the Computer Adaptive Testing, or CAT. And what happens is that the items can get easier or harder depending on how well the student is doing. So based on the response. And we were talking to, Lydia Selly, our Executive Director of Finance, she was in with her third grade daughter, Bryn, this year, and just this week. And Bryn said to Larry Francois, the superintendent, man, that's hard. It was a hard test. And what Larry said was, well, you must be you must have been getting them right. Because what happens is they'll progressively get more challenging the more you get your answers correct, right, your responses. So multiple choice, short written answer in this part, and then there's a performance task.
So the performance tests are complex. They have multiple parts, and they have extended written responses. They're also scripted, so the teacher sets up the performance task for the kids, and then they do it in real time. Okay? So it really is about performing in the moment with a scripted classroom activity that then the kids have to respond to. And you'll see some examples as we go.
So how we receive the information for these scores? How are the scores going to be reported? We're going to move away from it. If you've been in the MIST, in the WASL system, it's always been 100, 200, 300, 400, that system. We're moving to a little bit away. It's going to be a 4-digit number, and the scores are going to range between 2,000 and 3,000. And what's interesting about these scores is that they're going to provide achievement scores, and they're also going to be able to give us growth information. So that for individual students as well as group of students, and they'll be on a vertical scale, and they can be compared year to year. And that's the good part, because that's something that we've missed with the WASL and the HISP and the course and the MIST. It's always been just one point in time, a big group, and then we move on. But with this, we'll be able to see student growth, so it'll really be more fine-grained.
Mm-hmm. It's a much more comprehensive look at the kids, and can be used for both looking at an individual, and then as a district, and we'll talk about this in a minute, we can disaggregate the data and get a sense of how many third graders are where they need to be in terms of performance as well. That was all we could do with the MSP virtually. This gives a much broader look at the individual, and part of that, as we said, is if the test is calibrated in a way that it gets harder the more you answer, you're going to end up with a different kind of report than kids who kind of topped out in a spot and had easier questions to answer. And it'll just give us great information, we hope.
So
That's the idea.
Yeah, that's the idea. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
We'll have the students in levels of achievement as we do now, as you're used to. 1, 2, 3, 4. So even though the scores are 2,000 to 3,000 range, it's a level 1, a level 2, a level 3, and a level 4. And the descriptors are novice, developing, proficient, and advanced. So that took a bit of work to get those descriptors where everybody was in agreement with it, but those will be for each level: novice for level 1, developing for 2, proficient, and then advanced. And it's the levels, if you think about it, they're familiar to us. We've been in this system for so long. We get level 1, level 4, and also it's required by the federal government and the lead No Child Left Behind. Okay. However, it's a new test, right? New baseline. Can't compare it to, there's no way of comparing it to the HISP or the MIST or the end of course. So we'll have a new baseline of student performance starting next year, which means, and so a lot of folks are worried about, oh my gosh, they're going to fall off the performance cliff. We hear this all the time. And what we just have to remember is, because it's a new test, you don't compare it to what we had before. It's just not the same, and I think we had a principal name it really well.
Yeah, May Pelto over at Crystal Springs, we were there for a SIP visit, and she said it's not apples and oranges, it's apples and spaceships, right? I mean, it's not in the same fruit category at all. They're very different. So it will be a temptation, I think, from parents. I certainly would do the same thing with, okay, my child used to be at a level 4, now he's at a level 3, oh my gosh, he must have done some, we've got a problem here. No, completely different measurement. Right. Important to remember.
Just really important to remember that our students are, it's a new test, it's online, it's got the summative, it's got the CAT part with the adaptive, and it's got performance tasks. We've never had performance tests like that before. So we may see some differences, and I think that's part of what we need to realize and be prepared for. And for the first time, I have to say, high school is online. They've not had an online test before. It's 3rd through 8th grade have been doing the MIST online, but not high school. So this is going to be a first for everyone, that all their assessments are going to be online. So the state has been doing some really great messaging around, about Smarter Balance, and letting us know that it's a new target with new results. New target, because the Common Core state standards are at a higher level. We're talking about career and college readiness. We're not talking about proficiency, baseline proficiency. Got to remember, so if we're talking career and college readiness, everybody's moving up. We're all trying to get to higher standards at each level. So it's kind of like, I did pretty good at Mount Rainier, and I climbed it successfully. I might find Mount McKinley just a little more challenging, right? Some of our students will be able to meet that challenge. Some will be close. Some who could summit Mount Rainier aren't going to be able to summit Mount McKinley on the first try, at first. And I think that's the part we need to remember, because it's brand new, and we've got new baselines, and we're teaching to new standards that are more rigorous, higher level, and we've got a different kind of test. It may take us a little bit to reach the top of Mount McKinley. Okay?
Yeah.
So, I guess I'll say luckily. Luckily, other states have tried this before us and have been in the Smarter Balanced Assessment for a bit. And this is information from 21 states who field tested and have been pushing forward with Smarter Balance. And I think it's good to look at what the expectation is, that the performance prediction, we're used to 80 to 90%, really top 80, 90, 92, 93% of our students meeting or exceeding standard in English language arts, and that's what this is, ELA. And there's predicting that the first year that we'll only see perhaps 38%. That's the prediction based on the information and the field testing for the other states. It's not that, oh my gosh, we've gotten, we've failed, we've gotten dumber, what happened? It's new test, new baseline. So it always takes a little bit to move forward. So more basic and, more novice and developing, and less proficient and advanced. And that's just the prediction that what Smarter Balance is saying by looking at the research, or I should say looking at the data from the 21 states who have gone before us. And in math, about the same-ish, right? So heads up, we've been trying to share this message because I think it is important for us to first time is always the most challenging, as we're all getting used to a new system. And just taking you back in the Wayback Machine, when we were presenting this to principals a month ago, we were talking to them about, well, remember when we first gave the WASL, and then we were looking out at them, and we said, well, remember when you were a student?
Taking the WASL, because they're younger than we are.
Yeah, it was a painful realization,
moment, yes.
just a moment, but pain. But you might have been a 4th grader when the WASL came out, or a 7th grader or a 10th grader. But that first year in reading, we weren't where we're at right now. It did take a while for us to move forward and get to the levels that we're at now, which is over 80% of our students meeting standard. And at the 10th grade high school level, we're, by the time they graduate, we have probably 96% meeting the reading standard. And writing the same. Really, that first year of the WASL was our baseline year of, oh my goodness, now we've, so this is what it means, right? And we're always, even as much as we prepare and teach to the standards, the curriculum, as Kit was saying, the standards are what we want students to learn and be able to do. How teachers get students there. They use a variety of curriculum, a variety of materials, and oftentimes that lags behind the standards.
I would add, though, that over the last several years we have adopted curriculum, and one of our filters for adopting that curriculum was how well does it align to the Common Core state standards, because we knew this was coming and we wanted to make sure we gave teachers the materials that they needed. However, there is an adjustment as teachers get used to new standards when they've been teaching to the prior ones. Now this is, wow, this is really here, and those are the standards, and there's been some growth along that path, but we have been preparing for a little while.
Right, we've been doing a lot of professional development for our teachers. So if you look at the Smarter Balanced Estimates for Washington State, this is what they're saying, and so you can see pretty comparable for, if you want to think, by not comparing, you can still say pretty comparable of about the same range for a baseline, okay? So what's the impact on high school graduation, and which is a kind of a grad requirement, and that's a question out there. And the State Board of Education, which is our state level group that's really looking at the grad requirements and all of this, they're determining two different cut scores, which is important. One's going to be the career college readiness, which is the 11th grade score saying you are ready to go out there and you will be, ready for a career or college. And the other one's for high school graduation, because if you don't have a student yet in the high school range, they right now being able to graduate and get your diploma is dependent on passing the HISP or the end of course exam. So either they've got to have two different scores, one that the feds want, the federal government, with the career college readiness, 11th grade, and one with the 10th grade, or they have to uncouple, and that it uncouple state testing from grad requirements.
Do you have a question?
I have a question about that. 11th grade they're already taking ACT, SAT,
Yep.
AP. Now we're doing another one?
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
why 11th grade and why are we adding one more test?
Well, because the Fed said so.
Well, yeah, I get that.
And we want
but-
our money, which is, one of these tests will go away. The 10th grade will go away. And if you say you got to be career and college ready, you actually need more years of study because they are getting more rigorous. So if I have it in 10th grade, it's not the same as being that. So that's why. And I'll show you I think I've got the slide that's pretty cool. But so hang on to that and let's see if I can.
Well, and also, I would just add that the universities are the group that require those other tests that you mentioned, and there is potential that they would use this instead of SAT, etc. I'm sorry. Sometimes we do better than others. Okay, so go with your slide.
That's right. And the other thing I'd say is that there are some colleges that are not even, they're not looking at SAT scores or ACT. So that there is a big, there's a lot going on at the university level of really, do we even need SAT or ACT, because they're finding that those tests to be really skewed to a specific population, and there are
They're not a good indicator of whether or not they're going to succeed in college.
exactly.
They're finding that high school grades,
Yes.
the trajectory of a student's high school grades are much more indicative of whether or not they're going to succeed in
Exactly.
college.
Especially in higher
Right,
level courses.
Yeah.
especially in higher level courses.
So, sorry, if this test does, the colleges will see this test?
Uh-huh.
So if you anticipate that in the first year, students aren't going to perform very well, does that impact an 11th grader's ability to get into?
Well, for the current 11th grader, right now, what they need to do is pass the history. That's why they're being double tested.
What
So,
about next year though?
just stay tuned.
Okay.
Oh, Sherry's got an answer. Sherry.
I spoke with Robin Munson at OSPI about this question, and the score of the Smarter Balance will not go on the student's transcript. What goes on the transcript is whether they get a certificate of academic achievement or a certificate of individual achievement. And the certificate of academic achievement is the one that the colleges will pick up as the child being career college ready.
So I'll show you. Let me do one more. Let me do one more thing. So hang on.
Got her
So,
slide.
I do.
Her slide.
So if we had to do two cut scores, let's say one's going to be for that current college readiness, that look at me, I'm really hit the mark, and the other one is the performance level that says that would be tied to our state requirement of passing a state test for a graduate, in order to graduate and get your diploma. So that's a different level. That's at a minimal proficiency standard. And what the State Board of Ed has to do is constantly look at those two scores, and they'll have to make adjustments as students get better. So that's the goal when we get there. But there's also things afoot to uncouple graduation from the test, which that's only at the legislative level, and they're the only ones who can do it. So some key points to remember, and I think it's my third bullet. That's where I've been wanting to go. And that is, one thing to realize is that standards do change over time. Every 5 to 7 years, we're looking at the standards, and then if you look at the standards, it means you have to change the assessments and look at those as well. So we have to look at those. The careers are changing, what universities want, what the career, what the career trajectory is changing, and always we need to be thinking and reviewing our standards and our assessments. And the new standards, it's a higher bar. So when we say college and career readiness, it's higher bar than high school proficiency. And I think that's key. And here's where the Washington State colleges and universities are already in agreement and alignment. So if students get a level 3 or 4 on the Smarter Balance, then they can enroll in a college level course in all the Washington State colleges and universities without taking a placement test. And that's huge. That's the good news. And then student growth information will now be available in addition to achievement levels. So that's the other good news. We'll get to see where the student growth is year by year, and it'll be a stair step. Okay, did I help?
So my only follow-up question is then, if a student in this first year or the second year, when everything's sort of the baseline is lower, but students may perform at a lower level, if they get a level 2, let's say not that level 3, they could still take placement tests to get into those colleges?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, the colleges, universities haven't, to the best of my knowledge,
Done away with placement tests.
Sure.
Right.
yet.
Anna?
I do have a question. So and I'm not at the high school level yet, so college level classes, are we talking about Running Start, college in the high school, AP?
100 level courses in college.
Or more, or if you go to a Washington State College as a college freshman, there are a lot of colleges in the states that ask you to take a placement test so they
See where
confirm
you're at.
where you
Correct.
should start
Right.
college.
Right.
So you're not going to need remedial courses
Right.
Got it.
by and large.
Or you're not going to have to take a placement test in math
Right.
to decide, do I go in math 101
Got it. Okay.
or 105 or 108, or where
Which
do I
can be a
go?
big burden over the summer.
Yes.
Right.
Or 95, worse yet. Sherry?
I'd just like to share that currently the statistics in our state are that 57% of our kids going on for post-secondary education require remediation. So this is to get away from that, so that we're not wasting money on something that was supposed to be provided in their public education.
Not that that's not Northshore, that's Washington State. Right. Can't be on. Okay, so where do we get more information? So now we get to be interactive pretty soon, okay? So this is a big group. And I'll just say, as Leanna said, you'll get to, we'll probably need you to do a couple folks on a computer. That's not how our kids get it, all right? So lucky, you'll get to share. You'll get to share and maybe work together, but we're going to give you a chance to try some practice tests. But the question is, well, where would I go? So you go to our website, and there's a couple ways you can do it. You can go to the academics and programs on our main website, and there will be a title, Smarter Balanced Assessment Overview. And then you click on it, and you'll get the cute little hat. This is actually a live video, so you can listen. And then you'll see all the information on the left-hand side that we've got on the website. And if you clicked on, well, let's go back, Carolyn. So if you clicked on, I clicked on Parent Resources here. Then this will pop up. If I click there, take a practice test, that'll take you to the state Smarter, I think it's ReadyLaw has all the information. Oh, it's the portal. It is the assessment portal. So then once you click there, take a practice test, boom, you come to this page. If you click that, and we'll walk you through it so you can get there. Here's the page you'd see. And again, there's student family resources, but if you said, I'd like to see what that test is all about, bazam, that's what you hit. And you'll come in as a guest. And what I keep forgetting, and I'll show you this when we get online, you have to say what grade level you're at. Because I just like okay, I'm a guest, and then I click on the button that says submit, and then it says, hello, what grade do you want? And you really do need to pick the grade level. And then you get to choose math or ELA, English Language Arts. And that will be your choice. I must admit that I have gone on to look at the map, and there's at the middle grades, like 6, 7, 8, and look, they want you to get a tool, and when you do some work, actual work with an online digital tool, which is quite fascinating. Yes, ma'am?
Question. I have a second grader right now, and we have very limited screen time for any computers or anything like that. I'm concerned that next year he's going to have to take a test on the computer.
Yeah.
He's not going to be immersed in it. He's going to get frustrated, that kind of thing. So should I be increasing what he does on the computer right now, just so that he's ready to do something like this?
Yes. And I'm just going to say, and that is not, I am not a believer that it should be on, nonstop. I mean, I think I'm very respectful of your limitation of that resource, but the teachers can only do so much in terms of getting, and they will have experiences in the classroom certainly before that happens. So the first time they hold a laptop or a Chromebook is not going to be the day they take the test. But if they are facile with it and that medium isn't intimidating to them, it just takes one less stress off this.
Touchscreen or just getting to the basics of it?
Just the basics of the touch
Okay.
and keyboarding if you want, but that isn't really where the action is.
I guess just as a follow-up too, I was at the bus stop yesterday and kids were nervous about the test, these third graders, and it seems like a very young age to be concerned and tying your self-worth to these tests. And I'm just wondering what is the teacher saying as well in the classroom to convey to these kids that this isn't about them, it's more about how the system is serving.
Right. Well, we're certainly working with our teachers because they have those same fears that, we don't want little kids feeling like they failed something when, they haven't. So we work on those messages. I think because it's so new right now, the teachers have a fair amount of anxiety over it, and some of that anxiety, as parents, even if you're pretending you're not anxious, kids can kind of feel like, well, something's going on, right? And I think in the classrooms, there's probably a heightened anxiety about, oh my gosh, what's it going to look like, and are they going to be able to do this? But we certainly don't want to give kids the idea that this is anything other than, oh, this is a chance to kind of show what you know, and here we go.
We don't really know what happens though with the kids who aren't meeting expectations.
Not yet. Right.
So when would we know that?
Well, supposedly 3 weeks after they take the test. That's if everything, if the stars are aligned and it all comes back and we have that information. Okay.
So we're passing out computers right now, laptops, and you're going to need to share. Yes, ma'am?
What are the accommodations for IEP or learning disability kids? I mean, I already know my kid's a couple of years below reading level. Why do I need a test to give her one?
Yeah, they are deep and wide. The accommodations are very robust. And,
okay?
Yes.
They very much are. And they are stretching, to the degree that they're stretching our capacity to accommodate it, all because it takes personnel to do that. But the children are going to be accommodated in very specific and intentional ways. So
And there's more accommodations for all.
Yes.
And all students need earphones because for the ELA, and so there's the reading out loud, there's highlighting, there's a variety of accommodations that are available that we've turned on for all students, and then with the IEP teams, they're working on what are the next level for students. Yes. Kid.
I was just going to say, for example, the text can be enlarged. These are things that students can do right in the test. They don't have to have any prior. There is a section in where the teacher can put in specific accommodations for each child, but the children can enlarge the size of the text. It is available in different languages. It is, in terms of timing, it's not a timed test. So time it's not the same issue. The classes have timed blocks when they're using the computers. That's the biggest time issue. But if students are not finished with the test, there's an overflow area where most schools will send the kids then who aren't done, they can go and finish. So it's not timed. So if that allays any fears for anyone's kiddos about doing the test, is they'll have all the time they need to complete it. I was also going to say about your concern about your child who isn't super tech savvy. Mm-hmm. So they need to be able to use a mouse and a trackpad because you may not know what kind of computer they're going to be using, whether or not it's going to have a trackpad or a mouse. So if you can get your kid familiar with a trackpad and a mouse, dragging and dropping, looking in boxes, highlighting, and get them over the fear of clicking on things. They need to be able to look in things.
I was told Chromebooks were used.
They are
mostly Chromebooks.
You can imagine testing every child on an electronic device means we use every electronic device we own in order to have that happen because of our size. So some kids will be doing Chromebooks, some kids will be doing laptops, some kids will be in the lab. The other day, the test kind of kicked off at Cottage Lake in the on the laptops or the Chromebooks, and they had to move everybody to the lab. In order to accommodate. So any facility with all of it would be good. And also I'll just add for you that one of the big differences is the accommodations no longer have to be written into the IEP. They can be distributed and given as needed rather than have to anchor them back to, but you said in the IEP that this is an accommodation they had all the time, which is great.
Yeah.
That'd be super fun.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So my question is about EAP kids, because currently the EAP kids at 3rd grade are studying curriculum at the 4th grade, but they're getting tested at 3rd grade.
Yep.
Is there a plan to sort of equalize that so that test them on what they are being taught?
Well, remember, this isn't a curriculum-based test, so regardless of the curriculum they're in, they're going to be meeting those standards, and hopefully, will have met the 3rd grade standards and now are trying to meet 4th grade standards. So we're anticipating that the EAP kids will be those kids on the 3rd grade tests that are moving through the levels and getting harder and harder and harder questions.
Yes, they should exceed, they should be at advanced level 4, right? So there's no way that an EAP student by state law can take a 4th grade test. So they'll be taking the 3rd grade, but the expectation would be, they'll be doing real good.
Yeah, and the test will get harder.
And it'll get harder.
Yeah, as they
It'll
answer
get-
questions
yeah.
correctly, so.
Yeah, okay, should we go on?
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
so if you have your laptops on or open, the password in lowercase is Northshore. Is that right, Karen? And the so you signed in at Northshore, lower, type Northshore, and then the password's Northshore. So, how'd I do?
Let's keep it simple.
Yep.
Type Northshore in both spots, twice. Lowercase, no caps, and it should get you there. Well, click guess. Be a guest.
Be our guest.
Be our guest. Yeah.
It's going to show that it's going to connect to the server. So it's going to
Yeah. Because so many of you are trying to connect to the same server, it might take just a minute, so.
What are we trying to do?
How we doing? Are we ready? No.
We need ID, student ID.
No, you shouldn't. We're guests.
Is it preloaded on here?
I'm just going to, yeah. So where it says student ID, just keep saying cancel. Cancel. Go to the Northshore website. Go to nsd.org.
JPP says.
Yesterday I lost. Hey Karen, will you get one of our viewers?
Yeah, I went with this.
Oh, okay, let's pass. My son is in 9th grade.
Yeah, because when I thought, I don't have a message for my
All right, you can go to academics and programs and click on that and come down and it won't do it.
Were they wanting practice?
Yearly, right? Yeah.
You're trying to hear you. I don't know the answer is for you.
Take a practice test.
Everybody.
Let's see how it does.
I don't know how much
My daughter had another ticket. She's 9 now. The first one is the most important one, right? So how do they assess them? Well, I have what's the question? But I guess it's federal. How many people have maybe they just have this one. Oh,
No, these are the things that the kids are going to need to know too.
I typed the first time. I don't know if there's students
Okay, let me show you. Okay. That's what you gotta love. You gotta love technology. So I'll do a little show and tell point here. You can join me. So there's two ways you can get in. Yay, look at him, even more guys. You can on the left side go to Smarter Balanced under Key Initiatives. Or if you're up here, because at some point in time it won't be a key initiative anymore, you can go to academic programs, academics and programs, come here, and you would click here. All right? And this is a website. Now where I would go, you can come with me, come along with me, take a practice test. Remember, it looks kind of familiar. And I say, okay, let's take a practice test. Okay, this is where it asks me to sign in. Oh, I'm guest. My first name is guest and my student ID is guest. My session is guest. So I say, alrighty, sign in. And then they say, is this you?
Yes, I am guest.
Yes, that's me. Then what you do, here's where I always forget. See where it says select a grade? Select a grade. What grade would you like to be? What shall we be?
Yeah, let's look at third.
Let's look at third. Good answer. I don't want to be an 11th grader. All right. Then it says, sign yes. Yes, indeed, this is me. Then we have to decide. Because we're third grade, so our practice test is going to be between third and fifth grade. And notice we have this will be our first of 99 opportunities to take a practice test. All right? Wow. We're not going to do 99 times, okay? So do you want English language arts or do you want math?
Math.
Okay, I heard one math. Do I hear anything else? Math. All right. Do you want to? Let's do the practice test. Now, notice that's different than the performance test. Remember, that's that context setting. So we're going to go here. All right. Oh, well, look. What language? I could do Braille, Spanish, or English. I would choose, I'm going to stick with Spanish. English, sorry. She's like, what are you saying? All right, I'm going to select.
But it looked like text to speech was an option. Is that?
We don't have that set up as an accommodation. We would if we needed text to speech. But we can't. All right, now, we also need to make sure that you have sound up. Because they're like, is the test listed the test you want? Yes, that's it. All right. And then, love the screen. Always too big. Click the question mark button to access the help side. Anytime you have an issue, we can hit a question mark sign. All right? Oh, great. Here are our global tools. Our little help button, top right, zoom buttons to make the image bigger. We got a calculator button to open the calculator, but notice what they say. The calculator is available for grades 6 through 11 math and 5 through 8 science. Okay. Science is not yet with us. We're still doing the MIST. Questions drop down list. All right. Pause button. We can pause. You can do the back, the next, before you move, to let you move between pages. So lots of nice little description. There's a highlighter, tells you how to do that. Strike through. Here's the rules. You can't skip questions. All right. You can review past answers, questions, and change your answer. Here's rules on pause.
Which is important. Your kids need to know if they pause their test for more than 20 minutes, they cannot go back and change any of the answers that they made. Okay? So when they pause it, they have 20 minutes to go back in, and then they could still go back and change any of those flagged answers. But if it's more than a 20-minute pause, so this is especially important if you have a kiddo who may need the extra time and they're going to have to go to the overflow. If they don't get to the overflow before 20 minutes passes, then they'll be closed out of the rest of those previous questions. The good thing is they can't leave anything blank, so they're not going to miss answering a question. But if they had a question that they weren't 100% sure about and then it came to them later, you want to make sure that they've reviewed those before they have to pause their test.
Okay?
So how's it handled if the computer locks up, like what I hear frequently happens?
Well,
So-
we've got,
They can go direct. So I asked this question because I'm proctoring and I'm tech helping for Northshore Networks, and I said, what happens if the power goes out? Because my kids, we're out at Eastridge, power goes out all the time, right? And so what happens is it pauses all their tests, but the timer doesn't start. And so they would all be able to go back in exactly where they were in their test, no matter how much time had elapsed from the time the power glitched or whatever. Then they'd all be able to go back on in that test session, and they'd be fine, as if they had never paused it. They'd have access to those previous questions. That's what's supposed to happen.
we also have tech support at each building
At
that
each
is sort of in that troubleshooting
Yeah.
spot. A cute example yesterday was one of our assistant principals. We came down for an admin meeting and he was a little late, and he said, Kathleen, sorry I was late, but I was getting the third graders started and we noticed that they were taking the Montana State Smarter Balanced test. So
That's the one thing the kids will have to do when they log in. They'll be given a test ticket with their name and their ID to log into a test session. And then once they turn it on, that's the one question, the one thing that they have to do when they're logging in to make sure that everything's set up properly. And
so they did a little problem solving, got out of Montana, moved into Washington, and off they went. But there are people there to help too. Yeah.
Question, is there a reason that it has to be via computer or online?
Yes. So the rationale under that is you can't make it harder with each question in paper and pencil. Right? So because it's a test that tests you to your capacity to answer, it has to be interactive in that way. That's the rationale.
So it's just in time knowing that you got that answer correct or not.
Right.
And then if you didn't, then they'll go over to this area and keep asking different questions.
My question too, with the third graders especially, if they only have 20 minutes to pause, it seems like a really long time for a third grader, especially a third grade boy, a big boy, to have to be sitting and looking and staring at a computer screen and things like that, especially if it's not something they do on a regular basis. So what kind of accommodations can we make?
Well, I think that teachers are the best judge of that, knowing their class and their kids. Because it's not a time test, they stop. And now we're going to stop and we're going to do something else for a while, and then we're going to come back at it.
I think they can do sections.
Yeah, they do pieces.
Right? So it's not like one fell swoop 6 hours
They're,
down.
they're scheduled in blocks,
Right.
to work in blocks, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for that reason, because they know they can't put it through all that.
Right. Okay. So how are you doing out there? Are you in? Is our tech folks? You in 10th grade?
Maya's a hero.
We're 10th graders, so we're really just
Very, very good for you.
No, we're not gonna pass it.
Let's go back to
Okay.
Let's go back to
Yeah.
My daughter's a ninth grader right now,
Yes.
and so it looks like her first test will be 11th grade for this. Is that
And I would say she may be taking 10th grade because she still needs to hit the grad requirement, right?
but not the Smarter Balance?
Right.
Well, yet to be determined, because remember my slide that said they're trying to get 2 score levels. One's for proficiency for high school graduation. The other one is the college and career readiness.
But she didn't take it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
So I'm just saying,
I'd say
because
yet
there's
to be
no
determined.
opportunity to
Practice.
practice, and then the most important one is 11th grade.
Well, the teachers have the digital resources. They can get on any time. So a 9th grade, I'll just say algebra teacher, or an algebra teacher, a geometry teacher, math, or an English teacher, language arts, they have access to the digital resources. We have been doing professional development for all our teachers to say, these are really great resources, especially the formative assessment.
Yeah, just to get them ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, so you want us to begin to see? Okay. It'd be nice to see what that looks like. Go away.
So this is going to take 3 weeks to get results, and it seems like it could almost be immediate if it's all online.
If you times that by the number of children that stay,
Yeah.
right? So they've said 3 weeks. We're very hopeful that it will be that timely. But we wouldn't be surprised if it took longer. And yes, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Doesn't make any sense. They should be able to spit this stuff out. If it's responding right away. I mean,
Well, we'll see. I hope you're right.
I love this. We don't know.
We don't. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I know we went ahead, but when
Oh, there we are.
so that two circles within the tangent on a number line, and it says show your work and explain it. And yet there were no graphs, there was nothing, it was just a box.
How do you show your work?
How do you show your work?
They have access to paper and pencil while they're doing it, but I don't know for sure. How do they show
I
their
have
work?
no idea. That's why I'm in 3rd grade math.
We want to take
I'm not doing that context performance.
Yeah, but our kids are in 10th grade. How do we tell
Well,
that?
I'm sure they're teaching.
10 here.
Yes.
And
No, they've had practice. I mean, especially the grade levels that are doing these tests. I know for sure that Patty Stevens, who is our math TOSA, has been out, and all the assessment coordinators for every school has been helping all the teachers with the tests.
I'll have to ask my kid.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the 3rd grade question. It's the first one in math. A pencil has a mass of 25 grams, an apple has a mass of 75 grams. More than a pencil. What's the mass of the apple in grams?
Half will be reading.
What is it?
100.
1. Oh, come on. 0, 0.
Or you can also just type in 100 in the box.
Or could you?
No? We did.
Oh, very
Yeah.
good. Well, I did it the hard way. Yes. All right.
No, it's not, because I tried.
You want to try another one? You want me to go to a hard? So what do? Does replacing the unknown number with 7 make each equation true? Select yes or no for each question. All right. What about this one? Is it a yes or no?
no.
How about this one? No. Very good. How about this one? Yes. Yeah, right on. And what about this one?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so I just want to point out, even at 3rd grade, what we used to think was 6 times 6 equals 36, right? I mean, you see a blank like that, that's where, unless you're reading those directions, you're thinking, oh, I get it, it's 6 times 6 is going to be 36. It's asking for a higher level of thinking than that, right? So is 7 going to work is a more sophisticated question than give me the number that belongs in that box, right? That's one of the examples of why it's hard, okay? Just thought I'd point that out. Sure.
You want to do this together still? We at the top. Where it says next. On the left. Here we are. Oh boy.
Okay, City Park is in the shape of a rectangle. The park is 120 feet wide and 55 feet long. It's good to know. Enter the perimeter in feet of the city park.
And you can do it painfully with the calculator with the numbers here or type it in there.
But they don't want labels. Yeah, because they're always taught to put labels, but we don't need to put feet now.
Well, they say 55 feet, so they're giving you the label, and by 120 feet, now they're saying enter the perimeter in feet in the city park. I don't know.
Try typing in feet after.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see what happens.
I don't know. All right,
so
we
what
can
answer
try
do you
it.
want me to type in?
Plus 55 times
175 feet.
There's so many answers.
30 and 60, right?
How much is it?
350.
I hear 350. Going once? Going twice? All right. 350, and you want me to say feet. And I can't.
Very good.
Good to know.
Good to know. All right. Yes.
So one thing that we're seeing here is the where you put your answer and where the question is. You're moving up and down that screen all the time.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, but for a kid, yeah. I mean, I'm okay with it. But for a kid who's got some spatial issues, this is going to be.
This is something we're going to need to practice.
Zoom out.
Zoom out, zoom in. Oh, all right.
Yeah, you can zoom
Okay,
in and you
let's
can
try.
accommodate the. Let's find our little zoom button.
It's right there. I have a feeling I'm zoomed as much as possible. But my other issue is, at least for me, I don't know how it looks on yours, is when I hook this up to the projector, it messes up my screen. So I can't even do my, let's get smaller. I don't think I can, but let's try. What's my? No, I can't, yeah, the command doesn't work. All right, so. Holy cow. Okay, so obviously I'm at the zoom out. Because here's my zoom in. I really need to see that. Right? So anyway, and I can't put in feet, so I have to move on.
So are the kids allowed to have pencil and paper to work things out?
I'm sure they do. Remember, they get a calculator too from grades, whatever.
Yes, they are allowed to have scratch paper.
They have scratch paper. Okay. Do you want me to continue the pain, or have you got the sense of where we're at? You want to go to English ELA?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Point fixed. All right.
No, but we can.
Oh, you know what? Go away. All right. Let's go again. Yippee. All right. I'm a yes. Yes, that's me. I'm going to sign in again. Let's just stick with third because we love it. Stop it. Okay. And this time I'm going on this side. Let's go to the ELA practice test. And remember, the practice test is the one that's multiple choice. You write in some short answers. It's not the performance test. All right, is this your test? Yes, start my test. Can I hear the sound? Now this is important in ELA. I can hear the sound. With ELA, they'll have headphones. Yes, I can. I'm too far down on my pad. Not that. All right. Okay, same thing. Here's your guide. Here's your test instructions. Okay. Good. Begin my test. See what I get this time. Oh my. Okay, no. Okay, so let's see if I can move over. There we go. So my directions are over on the left. Read the passage, then answer the questions. So here's my passage. And I'm wondering, trying to figure out, those means thing. Okay, so you scroll and you read. And then here it tells you what to do. Read the sentence and the directions that follow. Children and adults can work together. Click the 2 details that best support this conclusion. Like, would have had to read those test-taking tools so that I remembered
how to click.
How to click on it. All right. So what would be 2 details that support that conclusion?
The second one. But you're clicking on the right-hand side, right? Not the left-hand side?
No.
They're giving you options?
Click 2 details that best support. And I'm thinking it should be over here. Shouldn't it?
I was thinking it should be on the other side, but right side.
You click on the text.
Oh, well what, here.
So I'm thinking the first one doesn't have details that support the conclusion, but the second one, Jesse, Mrs. Baxter.
I didn't read the whole thing, so let's.
Yeah, I think it actually is those 2.
Oh, right here?
Click the 2 details there.
Okay. So children and adults can work together. So what?
Okay, so each sentence is a possible
Click.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
See
So
how it
Jesse and
highlights?
Mrs. Baxter talked about the birds for a while. I would assume that would be 1, right? The fact that Mrs. Baxter just moved into an apartment doesn't really talk about the adults working together.
So then keep them on an eye on 3. So you click that one. Okay, so it's interesting that there's 3 options in that second paragraph and 2 options in the first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it is definitely something you have to get used to.
Like that.
But then, okay, so what happens when you click the other one?
Which one do you want me to click?
The Jesse and Mrs. Baxter talked about the birds. So they say click the 2 details.
Okay.
Okay,
There
so
you
that
go.
doesn't, the other one doesn't go away.
Okay, and then this question is 2 parts. First answer part A, then answer part B. Isn't it great that we're working together on this test? And did I remind you that
Your children are not going to be able to?
All right.
Oh, goodness.
All right, part A, which sentence best describes the lesson of the passage?
That's the only
There's a dog trim up here? What do you think? Animals should be protected? Birds should only nest in trees? Movers should listen to children? Children should stay away from birds.
Okay, so without reading the passage, you think A. So I'm always suspicious of things that I don't have to read the passage and will probably get the right answer.
Yeah.
Can't focus on babies. Just took her dad to the baby room. Dad reminds me. That's movers. Clear out the house. What about the nest? We'll just have to tell the movers to be careful.
Oh. Okay. Well, we could be wrong if we chose the first one. But there's Jessie jumping up, getting out to the movers. Wait, she shouted, spinning around to face them. You can't use this door, Jessie said. I'm sorry, one of the movers said. We have a job to do. She didn't move. There's a nest. Did you change your mind? I did.
So what do you think? Right answer would be,
Is it animals should be protected or movers should listen to children? Or children should stay away from birds? Because they have disease.
right, and then that's an important distinction too, because there will be times when it says click any and all that apply. This says best describes, so you're going to have to make a judgment. That's going to be one.
Lesson of this passage.
What's the lesson of this passage? Is it?
Okay. Just not a very good theme.
I'm going
This is
there.
a practice test.
It's a practice. That's why we don't take tests by committee. Because we never get out of here. All right. So you get a sense, this is just the practice part, multiple choice, write-in answers. Then there's the performance test where there's a context set and then something that they actually have to do.
But again, we're going to point out this next part, B, now you have to have a rationale for the decision you made, right? So which sentence from the passage best supports your answer in part A? So why did you choose that is now part of what you have to say, okay? Based on the text.
Sure. So in this question, I'm sure they're expecting one answer because they say which sentence, not sentences.
And what best.
Yeah.
That's my conclusion.
Unlike the previous question, they have like check boxes here, not the radio button. So that makes me think that they're expecting more than one answer because they're check boxes.
Well, let's read it again. Which sentence? I would think one.
Right, because I'm looking at this word. Good clues for
Yeah,
kids.
absolutely.
Sentence, and the other one is best. So. And, well, let's just practice. Well, I say it's, don't.
Can you please try clicking more than
Oh, let's
one
try that.
there?
Oh, I could.
Yeah.
Bummer deal.
Well, so.
What about previous? That's a tricky one. What about previous one? Can you check more than one?
The previous one? No.
No. Oh, well, that's the clue then. If you can check more than one, it's a possibility of it. And maybe the code is a check means you can have more options. A letter means you've got to make a choice.
The difference on this one is you're looking for the clue in what they're asking you to do. Sentence and best. Because if they wanted to do more than one, then I'm hoping they'll see which sentences. Right? Yes, ma'am.
I also noticed too that at the bus stop, anyway, was told by the kids that they practiced this test like 2.5 months on the computer. So they do get.
Yes.
Yes.
Which you might be concerned just that they're practicing for a test and are they learning and teaching to the test. But
We're more concerned about them practicing the skills and the thinking that they're going to need in order to do well on the test. What we don't want. Right.
Yes.
Exactly. Right.
Yes. Well, I think our time is up. We've got like 8 minutes, and
yes.
So you saw the resources, how you can get on, how you can practice. Yes. So do at home, try it out, see what you think. That way you're not dealing with the technology of a computer that is not yours. All right.
When you're done with the test, do you get through this practice test? Do you know how well you did?
Probably because it says save. Now I didn't save, so you could probably keep doing it and save your answers and see how you did.
Oh, is there an answer key or?
I don't know. I've never gone through the whole thing, but there's a potential that at the end that it would give you information. Yeah. Congratulations, you hit proficient on a 3rd grade test.
Yeah.
It does tell you that.
Okay. Maybe.
I was just curious because
we haven't really gone through it any more than what you've just seen.
You don't
Sorry.
think so?
Well, you guys can let us know.
I just clicked random and I went through the whole test one time.
Yes.
When I save or I just say, submit the test,
Yes.
at the end it asks me to submit the test, I don't get any answer. I just
Oh.
go back to the
Oh, okay.
congratulations.
Rats.
Or thank goodness, because either way, I'm not sure I want to know, right?
Exactly.
All right, Karen, and anything else for the good of the order? Kit, how'd I do? How'd we do? Anything else you want to say? Sherry, it's been like a team effort here. It's been really
Yes, it
fun.
has. Absolutely. Takes a village.
Takes a village, yes indeed. Yes, ma'am.
You guys are excellent. Thank you for doing this.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming.
I was
We
going to
didn't
say,
know
you
what
kind
to
of make our
expect.
day. We get to talk to
Yeah.
parents and kids. We're happy. So
Yeah,
It's
That's
nice
great.
not to have an evening only, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice
good.
to have a
Say-
daytime walk.
Yeah, I'd say that too, except for we're doing the evening on Monday, so
Yeah, right.
I don't want to
It's nice for us.
spoil it.
Yeah, nice for us
Yes,
too. Thank you.
Nice Friday event.
Yeah,
Really,
absolutely.
truly. Thank you so much.
Okay, have a
Make
great
sure
weekend.
You take some muffins. Yes, ma'am.
So, the 11th graders this year need to be proficient to graduate this year.
No,
No. How about next year? We don't know.
we don't know because they're working on it right now with legislation.
Well, look at Sherry's got an answer.
Sherry's got an answer on that one.
The State Board of Education, at their meeting in August, they will be setting that threshold. So if you're inclined to want to know more about that, you can attend that meeting.
Okay, well, put it on my calendar.
And I would like to share one other thing. I am Sherry Kranick, the Legislative Director of Washington
Here,
State.
Yeah, come in here, Sherry, so people
Stop
can hear
yelling.
you.
Stop yelling,
If
Sherry.
you've got just one more minute. Sherry's a great resource. It's important that you know her.
Again, I'm Sherry Kranick, the Legislative Director of Washington State PTA. I wanted you to know that Washington State PTA got a grant from the College Spark Foundation, and we have a Common Core Smarter Balanced presentation that we'll come out and do at your PTA. If you want more information about having it takes about an hour. We can do a shorter presentation, but it just goes over how Common Core came to be. A lot of what you saw today, but it's PTA volunteers coming out to do that. If you're interested in getting a presentation at your PTA, email support@wastatepta.org, or you can email me, ptalegdir@wastatepta. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much.
Terry set everything up.
Great. Yeah, because last year I helped find, things for the table. Yeah. Maybe we can just make it honest. You can try the text and base then I said change. It's not on the table. Yes. And she gets 3 hours because
I'll let you see everything. You're going to go to school after this, huh? Oh, yeah.
Or at least sending that
Good, you're there.
I tend to
Thank you for doing this because it's awesome. Yeah. It's supposed to be a lot of practice. So teacher would give the students a lot of practice.
They haven't been, and trying to prep for that. And now we'll see how, if that was the right amount or just a little bit. Yes, they get practice.
So how about do you think the ones that were successful?
I wouldn't worry about it right now. That would be a great question. And say, I think it's going to be helpful for the assessment, or are you feeling like feeling well enough to pass one? But I'd ask you. Alrighty. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Sometimes too much.
Yeah, but I'm glad the gaps are higher.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, I understand. So, just kind of the weather the training of it, and then I think we'll be in a better place.
Yeah.
Good. Good work. Thanks so much.
like next week. They're either the first or the second.
So they, I understand that even if she's doing she just so the only concern I have is like different types of teaching. There are certain methods or certain names that they use that try to use exactly the same terminology. For example, with revision, so they are showing right now three different strategies, like digit backing or expanded revision. Right, so if she does, she gets the same answer, but if she does the other way, that's what my belief
Well, it
is.
should all be the same terminology.
Yeah.
Goal of having.
So the only thing, that's the reason I feel that I may have to look at her grade again one time to make sure she knows all the. I mean, she knows the concept.
I don't know how many questions.
Yeah, and the high school notes are Kara.
Kara, that's what I'm talking about. Most of
Yeah.
let us know.
Yeah. Like she can twist it
Terminology should be the same.
Yeah.
It should be
The principal was really dang right. It might have been a Thursday, and then
Tell your kid to relax. Tell them to smile. Honestly, they're on her test to smile. Tell her to smile.
I have lots of interest.
Yeah. The only thing that really is going on is there's a lot of goals that made.
I think everybody gets those PTA.
Oh my gosh, it's such a big deal.
I'm there for my wonder, like I'm doing if the sheet is I should not write like answers because I need actually
So I haven't looked at
I do want to sit down with I suppose those questions together. I said also
from grade, like, and they're maybe grade level, and so you know that standard tragedy. So in that case, it does not really matter how you show you there's a distance between the digits.
Well, there may be a question that says, what is this rather than describe this strategy for solving this problem? They might have to say, it sounds like your daughter's working above grade level.
And she should be fine. Right.
Again, I always tell people, tests are just a way to find out what they know and what they don't know. And the great thing about this test that they're promising, deliver on the promise, is we're going to know on a kid-to-kid basis. What does this kid know? And we're going to have it correlated to the specific standard. So if you look at those different standards, and then you've got a number in the systems, standard 1-1, in kindergarten, they have to be able to count 100 by 1. And standard 2 and under cardinality, they have to be able to count 100 by 10. And so the test is supposed to line up with kindergarten teachers who get tested. Little Johnny, I'm good. Taylor, how are you? Standard 1-1, but he knows standard 2. Yeah, he counts 100 by 10. Yeah, now I know that little Johnny was working on that. It is. They by those individual skills, and that would be good for a teacher to have. That would help with it.
Next year, if I will start testing activities, testing for personal.
They will never test. They will never use on tape. Because it's not perfect. That doesn't mean that the teacher will be using the material. So what they're supposed to have access to is informative assessments, showing the test questions and asking them along the way. Because so you can imagine what it takes. Even one test because they have to develop the test question, field test and test question. I heard about how it takes $1,000 per test to develop. And if this test is adaptive, think of how many
questions are there
in the question bank.
Yeah, right, I can understand because I'm in IT myself and I know how things go up and down.
Right.
So basically they have database of all the questions are there and the computer just pulls out the question according to
based on the algorithm, based on whether it's in a junior high or senior.
So another thing is your school doesn't have any presentation yet, but I know schools like we already did. And it seems, I don't know, what are your thoughts? So my
yes, we are.
That's one of the
you too.
Accommodations are homeschooled, so they have presentation already. I missed that, that's why I was here. So a lot of parents are hoping to get some kind of presentation before the test starts because she's already given one test and some of her friends who are in another second grade class, they've been done with the English ELA test this week. So
yes. Well, I'm just not sure what more information we're going to get. I mean, I'll come here and I can walk through what is I can tell you more about the core and the test too, but I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Everyone's just got to take a breath and let it happen.
No, what the takeouts I got from this was nice information I'd like to share with them. How the testing, the grade 1, 2, 3, 4, I did not know about that, and between score between 2,000 and 3,000. So this is the kind of information that parents expect to know, is what I feel. Because this is only additional what I got out of this meeting. Sorry to say, but because I already went through the sample tests by myself, so which is good for me though.
It's just this one from state level, at least with that really a rollout of this.
I think it's great though because having a presentation like this eases out anxiety of the parents.
Hopefully,
once they know what they're
know where it would be really comfortable. It'd be really as a PTA, I can And I would say, don't worry, it was a school where your principal came out and said an example.
You know, look, before aired for this experience, although we're just going to take it over. And that's what my principal scoring. We don't know. I keep asking her, oh, God, did you teach formative assessment? This is giving different test questions. Right answer, wrong answer. What's going to happen? I don't know. No, okay. We're just rolling with it. And that's what takes the scoring. How hard did they get? How hard? We're going to roll with it. That's what we have to do.
And you're right, because what little information we have is from the teacher's email on our too. These are the dates by the way.
They're not holding anything. It's because
I'm sure. It's just that things have been happening so fast. I'm sure that everybody has the information they like.
Well, and it's a push me pull you because there was a timeline when the state adopted the Common Core, and when they knew they were going to start this test, and there were a lot of people in between going, is this really going to happen? Do we really have to need this? And, oh, okay, yeah, I guess this is really going to happen. But otherwise, it's not been repealed or taken back yet. Okay, I guess then we're going to have to. And the 7, 8 development.
Yeah. Right now, 10.
It's an incredibly short window for them to create that. They didn't start working on the Smarter Balanced Container, so there's another consortium called PARC. Okay. And they were the first ones to start creating an assessment to line up with the Common Core. And they started 2 years before Smarter Balanced. So, yeah.
And then we used to have this is our
And follow the trail.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Nice talking to you.
It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, and nice working on the test with you.
Yeah, you did really well.
Good for you.
You did really well.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
I haven't done that one yet.
Yes. So what is the generation science standard?
Well, they're partnered with Readiness.
Is this yours?
Oh, I have.
This is yours, right?
It is.
Obliterated by states other than 2 years. Because at that point, I was just presented and said, I had been told my ready to work. And then I went home and did 2 months of my own research and found more information. That, I mean, what they're saying isn't untrue.
I understand that. I understand that. But they're cherry picking your perspective.
And then I think that is the hard part.
There is. If you want to read the flip side, you can go to stopcommoncore.org and read it.
So what Steve says, you know what this is.
Great time to sell your house.
Well, I think they said obviously I had to do projects. Told me. And actually, they didn't know both of their conversations. People ask the questions, I answer. But you know, you really have to do it. Of course, they want me to keep.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, right? So I think things like this, we're trying to.
But I did it today. I didn't raise any alarms. Never mind the bail alarms going on all over the country. And things happen
Really hard.
with Common Core. So, yeah, at the moment there are 14 states that are taking action to get rid of it.
Throughout the course of,
So,
there's a part of trying to make this less of a deal.
So this is what the district
And what I would also say is, what I did say was the teachers are nervous about Common Core. Their performance is judged in some way.
A year from now, it could be up
by these tests, and that makes them anxious. But they
Doesn't it
really,
just
our
frustrate
goal
you?
is to not feel anything but, well, this is where you are, and of course that gives us good information, so it's going to take you to where you know.
Well, and the biggest, so
Right,
here's the
that
biggest
is
problem
a
with
nice
Common
thing.
Core. The biggest problem, because it's not common. Well, the biggest problem with the Common Core is that it is